Hello from down here. I'm going to be making a veggie lasagna. Hopefully you've seen the how to cut vegetables video just before this one. So here we've got 2 peppers, yellow and a red. We've got some diced celery, which we showed in the video, the diced onion, and then this is half a small Swede, just grated, and quite a large carrot, peeled and grated as well. This is 250 grams of red lentils, which is half a pack really. So if you haven't got any scales, just gauge half a pack really, it doesn't really matter. This is a full pack of lasagna sheets. There's half the pack of cheese, which I used for the burger video. And then I'm cheating here, you know, no chef worth his salt should be using jars, but it's another day when I'm going to show you how to make a white sauce. But just a jar of white lasagna sauce, a tub of passata, and then I've got a couple of vegetable stock cubes just dissolved in a little bit of boiling water, and 600 mils or there about half a jug of boiling water ready to add up. So, and also, sorry, at the front there's a tablespoon of tomato puree, teaspoon of garlic puree, and a teaspoon of oregano or mixed dried herbs, whichever you prefer. So I'm going to make these into a vegetable lasagna. The total this has cost me is just under £3, and if you eat large portions you're going to get 4 or 5 portions out of this, but you can easily get 6 to 8 portions out of this. If there's only one person in your household, then once you've made it, leave it cool down, chill it in the fridge. The next day you can cut it into portions, wrap it up in cling film, throw it in your freezer, and then pull one out every so often when you want one. This is vegetarian, it's vegan, apart from when I add the cheese at the end. So I'll go into this later for some vegan alternatives, but the sauce you're making is going to be vegan as well. So it's ideal for vegans if you just want to eat it with some pasta. You can even spread it on a pizza. Anyway, let's get going. So I've got the pan here. Heated it up to a medium-high heat. Nice and hot that now. So, splash of oil. Just spread that around the pan a little bit so you don't get stuff sticking. And then all of this can pretty much go in together, all the vegetables at least. Here's the onions. Celery. That bit is there. Peppers. Of course, if you don't like any, I'll say a lot of people are allergic to celery. If you don't need to put the celery in, it's not essential. Same with peppers. If you don't like peppers, you can just replace them with another vegetable. Here's the grated Swede. The reason I've grated the Swede is because it takes a lot longer to cook than things like peppers and onions. And if I diced it small, it's a fiddly job for you to do. It's a lot easier to grate it. It's a similar sort of size then to the rest of the vegetables. Same with the carrots. I mean, you can attempt to really dice it finely, but I don't see the point. Might as well just grate it. This is, like I say, this is just going to be a sauce at the end of the day. It's going to be like a vegetable bolognese sauce with no meat. So that's all the vegetables in there. Give those 30 seconds or so just to start cooking. Turn the heat up a bit. Next thing then, we'll add the tomato puree. And the garlic puree. And the oregano. And like I said, you can use just dried mixed herbs. They're all of a similar price in places like Aldi, Lidl or any supermarket. And then mix that through. Doesn't really matter if it doesn't mix through completely because I'm going to add a load of water to this in a moment anyway. Right, before I put the water in, I'm just going to throw all the lentils in. So These are dry, so obviously once you've started mixing them around the pan, they will start sticking. So rather than throw cold water in here, which then has to come to the boil, and in the meantime the lentils are starting to stick to the pan, I've got boiling water from the kettle. So add that water. I'm going to let this come to the boil now, and when it's come to the boil, just turn it down a bit and cook it for about 20 minutes. You might need to add a little bit more water every so often if you see it drying out, because the lentils soak up all the water. I'm not adding the vegetable stock yet, because if you're cooking things like dried beans or lentils, if you add salt to the water before cooking them, it takes a lot longer. You can cook a lentil in 20 minutes. If you add salt to the water, it could be 45 minutes to an hour before it goes soft. So basically, we're just waiting for these to go soft, bring it to boil, turn it down, and let it simmer for 20 minutes. So we've got to this stage now. I did have to add a few splashes of water to it, so if you keep an eye on it and keep stirring it, you'll see what the lentils look like. They start softening, but they're still, you can still tell they're lentils. Now, like I said, I didn't add any veg stock, so this is 2 vegetable stock cubes. Again, just broken down with a spoon with a little bit of boiling water. So I've added that in there. And then the passata, which is basically sieved tomatoes. You'll find it on the tomato section of any supermarket. I find it's easier when you're making a sauce of this, but if you want to use a tin of chopped tomatoes, get a bit more texture. There is actually more in these than you get in a tin, but some people might prefer...
You're splashing my wall.
Sorry, I'll give it a wipe after, darling. So there's the passata and the stock in there. And then just to go in, just for seasoning, a level teaspoon of salt and about 1/4 teaspoon of ground black pepper. Right, you'll notice I got my salt and pepper out of tubs there. Mrs has gone a bit OCD over lockdown. Bought a load of these tubs from Home Bargains, and now all our cupboards look like this, which is a great idea, because you don't end up with loads of packaging or jars, but literally every cupboard in the house looks like that. Just an idea.
Can you open it again? Can I apologise? I've just noticed I've actually been painting our cupboards. Can you see I've not done the inside? No one was meant to see that. So we painted the whole kitchen. It was dark brown. Under 100 quid for the whole lot, so it's another little tip.
Right, so we're going to start building the lasagna. Back over here, please. So I've got the lasagna sheets. This is just a baking tray. You can use a ceramic dish. This is 8 inches square, which is just about the right fit for the sheets of lasagna. I'm probably not going to use the whole packet. So I'm just going to overlap the sheets like this. I've broken some in half just to fill the gaps in. And this is bubbling away nicely now. So I'll put that on a cloth, save the worktop. And then just spread this sauce nice. It doesn't need to be too thick a layer, otherwise you'll only end up with a couple of layers. So I'm going to aim in for about 3 or 4 layers in this lasagna, and then just spread it out with a spoon. You need enough liquid in there to cook the pasta, otherwise you're going to end up with crunchy pasta. I'm just going to put a tiny sprinkle of cheese on each layer as well, and then on to the next layer. And then continue like that until we get to the top layer, where I'm going to put the cheese sauce on afterwards. Okay, so I've managed to get 4 layers in there. Sauce, cheese, pasta, sauce, cheese, pasta, all the way to the top. And then you finish off with a layer of pasta, because then we're going to put the white sauce over the top. I'm just going to put a splash of water in here, so I'm using the whole jar. Swirl it around. Doesn't matter if it's too liquid, because we need that for the pasta to cook anyway. So spread that around over the top nice and even. And then the rest of the cheese to finish. You'll notice next to me there's still quite an amount of sauce in the pan there, which is handy. You could have that with spaghetti. Again, if you had some little tubs like we showed you earlier, you could put it in a tub, you could freeze it, if that'll freeze fine, and then just reheat it again when you want it with, you could put it in a jacket potato. You could even thin it down a little bit with some more vegetable stock and make it into a soup. Right, so there's the cheese on the top. The oven's been preheated to 180. I'm going to stick this in now for 45 minutes. And then we'll tuck into that when it comes out cooked. So there we are, lovely vegetable lasagna. As you can see, there's plenty here. This is, like I said, this is just under £3 to make this tray, vegetarian lasagna. Easily 6 portions, maybe even 8. Obviously 1 if you're a massive eater, but no one could eat that amount of lasagna, surely. So we'll get a portion in there. And I've done a little bit of extra to go with it. I know I should have practiced getting this out of the dish before I actually started. There we are. I've made these as well. Like I say, this cost 75p if you were getting 4 portions out of that, so it's even less if you're getting more than 4 portions out of this tray. These are from Lidl. They come in packs of 2 for 42 pence. I've only used 1. You're getting 4 pieces of garlic bread, literally 3 tablespoons of margarine, a teaspoon of garlic puree, a little bit of dried herbs, oregano or whatever. Beat that all together, spread it, cut these in half lengthways, cut them in quarters, spread it with the margarine and the garlic butter, and then 8 to 10 minutes in the oven that you've just taken the lasagna out of, and then you've got a couple of pieces of garlic bread to go with your lasagna. And there you go. That's costing you 80p per person, and that's if you only get 4 portions out of this tray. I guarantee you get 6 at least. There we are, vegetable lasagna.